Yo, we did it. Episode 25. We made it.
You know it.
We can retire now.
Ah, thank God.
We can retire this show. At least we could call this season 1 done.
That's it, boys.
Well, we got to finish
Started
it
at
first.
the top, now we still here.
We started at the top and we stayed there. Welcome back, everybody, to Don't Hate the Podcast, our sometimes weekly gaming show. Pop wants to say something. Hold on, you'll get your chance.
I'm going to sell my share of the company and retire.
I thought you were going to sell. I thought you were going to sell your jarred sweat, your gamer fuel.
Yeah.
Stay on the lookout. Don'tHateThePodcast.com/store for Pop That Baby Maker sweat, gamer sweat.
AKA Pop's Goo.
It's coming soon to a creepy.
Make the perfect Christmas gift.
They're great stocking stuffers.
Dude, we should do a Christmas card.
I think
Just throwing it out there.
I'm down, but I prefer that we call it a holiday card.
Whatever. Yeah.
You call it whatever you want. I think we should do calendars too, though.
I'm in, dude.
That's not a bad idea.
2021
Whatever you want.
calendars. We made it. We made it, boys.
Welcome to episode number 25 of Don't Hate the Podcast, our sometimes weekly gaming show where we talk about our thoughts and opinions on games and gaming culture, and kind of it seems like whatever the hell else we want to.
Goddamn right. It's my show.
That's right. Where's my notes? So patch notes for this episode.
I don't like how my hair looks.
There's that.
Just throw that, like, I don't know.
For all you audio
know.
listeners, are super important, and Pop's hair is just like
2020
slightly
stressing me out.
askew.
Do you know how long it took me to be comfortable on camera with, sorry audio listeners, but with this action happening right here? It's
Yeah, I
like,
feel like that's what's happening to me.
Listen, man.
It's called
somebody
getting
is
older.
of the Deep V. All right.
hey, I'm embracing this receding hair, this widow's peak. It's been like this forever. It's not really receding. It's like receded and stayed there. So like I'm thankful for that. Got the Conan thing going on. I'm just gonna get this little floof as high as it'll go, and then anyway, the patch notes I was trying to get to. Yeah, that would be great. Actually, that would be great.
What's up? Hashtag not an ad. Hashtag could be.
We're on Google Podcasts finally. Last week's episode, we announced all the different podcast services that you can find the audio version of this podcast on, and a Google Podcast has joined that list. So
Yeah, we got one you heard of. Woo!
well, yeah. So you heard of Spotify, you heard of Google Podcasts, but we're also on Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Breaker, and the hosting site Anchor. So there's that. We're always on youtube.com/just search for Don't Hate the Podcast because we don't have 1,000 subscribers yet.
That is a really long URL, but it does work.
Sorry, wait. No, I think it's 100 subscribers before you can have a custom URL.
So that means we're looking at you, people. Come on. Just push the button. It doesn't cost anything. And then
It's not like you have anything better to do nowadays.
Here's the thing. You go on YouTube, right, these days, and you watch these YouTubers, and a lot of the videos will say, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, and then go into the settings and turn notifications on so you get alerts whenever we upload. I'm going to urge people to please go subscribe to our channel, but we're here once a week. You don't need an alert popping up on your phone once a week. Just it's around this time. You can check it out live at twitch.tv/don'thatethepodcast, which is...
Tell you what, having Sunday brunch, boom, podcast. It's perfect. What are you doing? You just sitting by watching the grill die out after some nice burgers at the end of the day on Sunday? Boom, podcast time. You know what I'm saying? Monday, you're heading back to work, pop in them earbuds. Boom, podcast time, baby. Every time's a good time for a podcast.
If you find yourself watching Don't Hate the Podcast on YouTube, we would really appreciate if you would click subscribe and then go make sure that notifications are turned off so we don't disturb you whenever we upload a video.
Yes, we hate to inconvenience you.
Yeah.
With a potential ding.
And if this is a sponsored episode, then that ad will play right here. And welcome back. That's always fun to do. Oh, Mike is frozen.
Hey. All right.
let's start episode 25 the way we started episode 1 and talk about what have you guys been playing like. Oh, sorry, I'm joined this week as always by my friends Killer Metal Mike.
Hello.
And Pop That Baby Maker.
Hey.
And for some reason I keep driving the show in the beginning, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles, I guess.
It's just habit now, man.
That's right.
I can't get up in the morning without Mark leading the show, man.
It's my show.
Oh shit, sorry.
It's your show. You just said it was your show.
Well,
It's Pop's show.
it was, but I guess you got it now. So
That's right. You will always be my Andy Richter.
Yes.
Just kidding. What you been playing, Mike? Anything?
So I've been playing 2 things this week heavily, super heavily.
Okay.
One is The Last of Us 2 because everybody loves that game, so I'm playing it. I'm not going to say anything about it now because we are going to do a cast of us once we get this whole thing organized.
Okay, so you're still in for the Cast of Us.
I'm still in, totally in. I have opinions on things, that's for sure.
Can you just give us a quick update as to like
spoiler-free update?
Rough
spoiler-free update. I am Seattle day 3 as Abby.
Okay.
Whoa, that was actually not spoiler-free. But I mean, it's the game.
Because if you haven't played the game, who the fuck is Abby?
That's true, and I guess actually you do kind of start playing as Abby real early in the game. That's not really that much of a spoiler anymore. If you, I don't even care because I have a whole diatribe about spoilers later. So please continue.
So, like I said, Seattle day 3 as Abby. I'm standing outside the theater is where I stopped.
Okay. All right.
That's where I am. Like I said, we're gonna have a whole show on it, so I won't really say anything other than I have opinions, and they don't line up with my opinions from The Last of Us 1. So, we'll see where that goes. The other thing that I've been dumping hours into, like it's going out of business, is Animal Crossing. Because I don't know what it is about that game, but I just can't stop. It's like a bad crack addiction.
Okay, that's what they say. That's what it seems like. That's the case.
So when I first got the game, I like played it like I've played every other Animal Crossing, where I just dump a bunch of time into getting a bunch of money and paying off my house. But in this one, they really changed the focus of the whole game with being able to transform your island and do all this other stuff. So now that I've like basically paid off all of my house loans and everything, I'm really starting to look at this game from another angle and actually transforming my island and turning it into something like cool looking instead of just the functioning thing that it's been. So I've been really dumping time into it, customizing my entire island, which I actually find more fulfilling now than I did with the early game when I was just trying to pay off a loan or trying to do this set of required tasks. Like now the things that I do are goals that I've set for myself. So it's like, I want this corner of the island to, have this building, and I want it to have these decorations, and I want it to look like this, and I want the water to flow this way. And it's all a matter of, how you move all of those resources around to make that stuff happen, make it look the way that you want it to. So I've just been dumping hours in.
Can I ask you guys a question? Because as the audience may or may not know, I've never played an Animal Crossing game ever. And I always listen to you guys talk about it, and I'm like, always waiting to hear the thing that's like, you know what, I got to get into that. But right now it's just like reorganizing the room and like paying off loans. I was like, I'm not even trying to talk shit. I get it. I get why people like it. I'm just waiting for the thing that makes me have to play it. And so, my question is, are there like mini games within that game?
No.
There's no like tap the button to see if you can like
fishing could be like a mini game like collect.
So like there's no like rhythm game that you could like unlock, or you can't play checkers with like a friend within the game.
No.
Huh. See, it really does just seem like The Sims to me.
Social sim, yeah.
Yeah, it's very like it's very to like kind of take off what you just said. It's very like rhythmic, where it's like you just get in like a like flow. I feel like, and it's just like, okay, I'm gonna like,
is it like
log
time
in
management?
at the beginning of the day. I'm gonna go collect all of my fruit. I'm gonna hit all my rocks. I'm going to go to the shop and see what the hot item of the day is, and then based off those things, I might like change my activity or what I'm doing. But like, it's kind of like I don't know. It's very like the best way I can say it is like it just flows. Like I feel like you start to do one thing and then it flows into the next,
that's my problem with it, because like Pop, you've said before that you'll play this game like, oh, I have 15 minutes on lunch. Let me just go check this one thing right quick.
Yeah.
And my problem with the game is every time I do that, it flows so well that I'm like, let me do this.
You want to play more,
and I have to do this other thing. But wait, to do that thing, I have to go do this thing quick. And then next thing I know, 3 hours have gone, and I'm like, oh fuck, what have I done? But the one thing I will say consistently with this game, since day one, is the most relaxing fucking game I've ever played in my life.
I guess it really reinforces the fact that, which I guess I was maybe never too keen on admitting, but now it's just something that I want to own and fully realize that I'm just very much when it comes to video games, I like story-driven narratives, and like they have to feel good on the sticks too. Because if it's good story and terrible gameplay, it doesn't work. And it could be great gameplay, and that would still be fun. But I'm never gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna buy the poster for what was the game, like Concrete Genie, you know what I mean? Like, because I'm so in love with that world, and like that's a bad example because that game is really cool and unique, but it's just the first one that I thought of that's like, it maybe could have been better gameplay that made me just, I never finished that game. So, but yeah, it's story-based, story-driven narratives that feel good on the sticks is like my main squeeze.
Yep.
I guess I have to like sit down with Animal Crossing without committing to $60 first, because that's what's gonna really piss me off if I really end up not liking it. Like, I do want to try it though,
Yeah, it's definitely worth a shot, and you can add.
It's time to put on the tube top and put the donation goal back up, I think, because
there you go.
I want to play.
Yeah.
Boom.
Another thing too is like specifically with this one, I think it was kind of there but not forced with other Animal Crossing games, but this one is very much like it's not a game that you're like supposed to like play in a week and beat.
Like, I know. I know.
It's
can
like
you beat it? Is there a beat it? Do you beat it?
Yeah, you can. There's an end game. Like, you can roll credits on the game, but it's very much like a
SimCity.
Like, I'm going to go in, do these things every day, and like that might change depending on like maybe a friend comes over one day, so I change what I'm doing. Maybe I log on and it happens to be raining on my island, so I want to fish more than I would normal days because I might have a better chance of catching the fish I haven't. Or like there's certain things that kind of change your activities, but it's very much like this is a long-term commitment, I feel like.
Because I rolled credits on mine at like 75 hours, I want to say.
Yeah.
And I just crossed 160 something hours, so still going at it.
Did you guys ever fill the map in SimCity 3000 with biodomes?
No. I don't think I've ever played SimCity 3000.
Oh, that's how you roll the credits in that game. Like, the biodome is like the most advanced futuristic structure that you can place in. Mm-hmm. I think it takes 4x4. Yeah, 16 squares it takes up, and it's just like a really, I don't know, it's like the best thing for the environment, and like it can house people, like people can live in it, and it produces clean air, I think, and like it's like self-sustaining, and it's like the best thing that you can get in the game. And if you could somehow manage to fill the entire map with those, then you get like an ending sequence where they all just like sort of fire off in succession like rockets, blast off them. Yeah, it was, I didn't believe the person who told me that happened, and then when I saw it with my own eyes, I'm like, holy shit, this is crazy. I didn't know you could beat SimCity. I thought it was just like you play forever.
Right.
And you get bored and you start a new city.
Yeah.
Another thing too is like I feel like you would like directly compared to SimCity, I feel like you would maybe take to this game more because it's not just like it's not just a simulator. Like there are characters who have like personalities that you run across, and like it definitely is more of a like
living, breathing world.
It's not a story, but like it has like set characters and like, you know, oh, this guy does this thing, this person does this thing, this person doesn't like these things. So if you know, like I don't know, like it's more
social sim.
I feel like this should be a recurring segment on our show where you guys explain what Animal Crossing is to me.
It's great.
Pop, what you been playing, man? Oh, unless Mike, do you have anything else?
That's
Those are
it.
the two, yeah.
Really the only thing, like I've kind of been in this weird place. I was telling Mark a little bit earlier where like I don't really know what to play. Like I've kind of been waiting for Ghost of Tsushima to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And
which
then
was released today. Saturday, July 18th. That's right.
But like so I've been waiting for that since I beat Last of Us, and I've kind of like bounced around playing a few things, but like nothing's really like got that thing. But I actually ended up I started a new playthrough of Breath of the Wild.
Cool. It's always a good choice.
Because I kind of like, like I wanted that like
it's got to be top 5 Dead or
open
Alive.
world, RPGs, but like that I can just, like I don't have to like follow a story for so long before I get freedom. I just want to kind of go do my own thing.
I feel like it's always a fun game to play.
Yeah, like the even now, like starting a new playthrough, this like maybe like I've probably beaten the game 2 times through, and then like maybe started it like once and played a little bit and then never beat it. But like this may be my 4th like playthrough or like start of it, and like even still, like it's just impressive how good that game is. I don't know, it's like on so many levels, like, and I think really for me what really does it for me is like, and I know people don't like the whole like, oh, weapons break after using them for a certain amount of time and like all that shit. Like I know people don't like that, but I feel like they do an extremely good job of something that's really hard to do in games, where it's like they make all the like video game stuff feel natural, where it's like, oh, like you're cold, well, put something on to warm yourself up or eat something hot. Like, like you want to climb this mountain, okay, cool, but like eventually you're gonna run out of like stamina. Like that kind of makes sense, right? Like you're hungry, well, just cook some food. Like I don't know, like I feel like they do such a good job of like making those like normal like video game things feel like so natural to like the game, where it's like I just find myself like not even really like doing the shrines or going to towns, but I just find myself like out in the like world, just like, okay, I plop down, I'm throwing some food in a pot and seeing what I get out of it, and then
it's very sandboxy.
Like, and it has what Mike was saying with Animal Crossing, like I feel like Breath of the Wild has a very like relaxing tone to me, where it's like, I don't know, I kind of almost always try to avoid combat in the game because I don't think that the combat really benefits you at all.
Yeah.
And so by like avoiding combat, just having these like, oh, it's nighttime, I'm gonna pop down a fire, I'm gonna cook some food, and I'm just gonna sit here, and then all of a sudden, like my horse is over off in the distance, I see that, and then all of a sudden the little piano trickle like hits the game randomly, where it's like, dun, 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 and like it's just so like relaxing and calming. Like I don't know,
there's no like super sense of urgency pushing you towards the end of that game.
Yeah, because you've already been waiting for 100 years, so it's like, what's a few more days?
It makes sense story-wise as well, where it's not one of like, I was talking last week about how I was playing Fallout 4 a little bit, and like that suffers from that exact problem, where it's like you start the game, it has a really strong intro of like, hey, like, you just woke up, somebody stole your son, like, you gotta go find him right now. And then you get out of the thing and it's like, or you could go build a settlement over here in the corner of the map, and it's like, wait, what? Like, my son's missing, I have to go find my son. Like, what do you mean I should build a settlement with these random people I just met? And like, it takes, like, the game feels so urgent, but it takes that urgency away, like, right out of the gate. And I feel like Breath of the Wild does a really good job of like, hey man, like, you don't even remember what's happening. Like, I guess you can believe this old ghost guy that you just talked to at the beginning of the game, but like, you don't know. Like, he kind of vaguely suggests, like, maybe you should go over there in between those two rocks that look like mountains. Yeah. And you're like, okay, but like, what if I don't want to? Okay, like, I don't know. There's nothing. There's nothing like pushing you to do anything in that game, and I think it really.
Yeah, I mean, once you get off the plateau, right? Yeah. You're sort of just given the ability. Like, almost everybody's gonna go in that one direction that like seems apparent
right off the start. Yeah,
but you can go the other way, see what's going on over there. I think the thing about like Zelda games in general, just in the Zelda universe, like these games that take place, and obviously not every single one is going to be for everybody. There's some that are, some would say, objectively bad, but definitely
Wind Waker.
Yeah, I know that you were going to say that. But what it is about Zelda games, like, Wind Waker may not fall into this category, but I'm saying, like,
let's not shit on Wind Waker.
Hold on. No. Hold on. What I'm saying is, it's going to be different for different people. What I'm saying is that most Zelda games are timeless, and that's what makes them good. Like the original Legend of Zelda on the NES, whether you like how it feels, it is a little like not janky. It's like clunky a little bit. You know what I mean? Like you're very clearly moving from square to square. Yeah. But aside from that, you do still have that sense of wonder and being dropped into this world that you're just given free reign to go and explore at your leisure, and that's fun, right?
Yeah.
And finding like secrets and hidden passageways, and like realizing like, oh, if I get this item, then I can access this over here, and gives you a reason to want to complete the dungeon, not to get to the end of the game, just to get to that next little bit to see what's over there. And like the Breath of the Wild, I that's why when I compare it, like a lot of people were comparing it to Ocarina, you know? I feel like just because it like felt so good on the sticks. Okay. And like, I don't know, maybe not so much, but even the art style a little bit. Granted, the N64 couldn't really do those type of cel-shaded graphics. It was still very cartoony. But I draw the most consistencies with the original, like out to it, like down to like every last little detail. I feel like it's like the original game. Just the original game was limited with what it could do hardware wise, you know. So they had to figure it out, you know, the way that like the forest like misguides you, you know what I mean? Like that was just you have to go the right way. and that still stands true in Breath of the Wild, right? Like you want to get, I don't know, the Master Sword, like everything is just like feels like what Zelda was when it started. But all over again. Like if this could have been the first Zelda game.
Well,
you know what I mean? It was so innovative. But followed the same sort of thing, you know.
I think with this one they were kind of going for like a soft reboot of Zelda. Like I think this is like kind of like the Zelda timeline with games is so messy to begin with, but I think with this one they were really just like, this is like a way in the future. None of the other shit matters. Like
so like what games have actually gotten a sequel the way that Breath of the Wild is about to get a sequel, where it's like the similar engine, same mechanics, probably same art style. You've got Ocarina and Majora's Mask. It's kind of like a direct sequel to that game. Even Zelda 2, The Adventures of Link, was like a totally different kind of game than the original. That could almost be considered like a direct sequel. But Link to the Past was its own thing. And then was A Link Between Worlds going to be considered like a soft reboot of that style Zelda game, or is that a sequel? What is that?
I don't think that's either, is it?
Okay, so it's just a game that's very inspired, like drew heavily from that.
Well, yeah,
game.
It's the same map and everything, but I mean, I don't know where that one would technically go if you tried to like spot it with the other ones. Like maybe it's a different timeline than Link to the Past, so you could still get the same map but with a different story. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. So the point that I was making is that Zelda games are timeless. Like I feel like people are still going to be talking about Breath of the Wild a long time from now, and it's still going to be playable, just like the way that Pop's saying he's playing through a third playthrough.
Yeah.
And it's no problem. Like you're gonna be able to pick that up 20 years from now and just be like, remember this?
Yep.
Yeah. It reminds me
awesome.
It reminds me a lot of like Skyrim and what like Skyrim did for like open world RPGs for me, where it's like I feel like no matter how many times or how many hours I put into Skyrim, I can just start a new playthrough and have just as much fun as I did the first time. But
and still never finish.
Yeah, exactly. With Breath of the Wild, though, I will say I do kind of feel like this is a Grand Theft Auto 3 type, like, game for the series, where it's like I would be extremely like let down and disappointed if Breath of the Wild 2 wasn't like this big open world game. Like, I don't know, I feel like it's going to be extremely hard for them to go back on that. Like, I can't see them making, like, this is like a, kind of like, there's 4 dungeons and you have to do them in this order, and, like, that's how, like, I'm cool with them, and I know that's, like, the big complaint of Breath of the Wild is, like, it doesn't have dungeons, and, like, what, like, to me, that didn't bother me at all. But like, and so I'm cool with them if that's what like they want to do, is they want to like add dungeons because that's what people want. That's cool. But like, I feel like they have to, like the
RPG element,
the like way that like you can just do whatever you want in however order you want to do it in this world, that like you don't even have to do the main thing. It's like I can go do this thing over here. Like, wait, I feel like they have to keep that.
You're
like,
talking about the Western RPG elements. Like, so you've got your.
You're talking about the sandboxing.
Yeah,
but not even like I feel like they take it to like another level where it's like not every like. In Skyrim, right, which is one that I hold in like high regard, like I can't just go beat the game right off the start. Like I can't do that. Okay. You can do that in like I feel like that like freedom that they give you, where it's like, hey, there's kind of a story here, but like we're not really going to guide you once you get off the plateau, which is essentially the tutorial section of the game. Like once you do that, you can literally do anything you want. You can go beat
one goal, everything else is optional.
You can go do what like I feel like like I would be disappointed if the next game didn't have that same level.
You don't want the next game to be like, you could go beat the end of the game, but first you have to get like the fire boots.
Well, like the thing, like just. Just going off of like other Zelda games, right? Like with the dungeons, the way that it works. So, you have to go to the water dungeon. You can't get in the water dungeon because you need the boots. The boots are in the fire dungeon.
Right.
So
I hope that
go do the fire dungeon.
I hope that if they do include something like that, where the only way to get this is to do that, and the only way to get that is to do this, like that would be cool. But it should be able to be bypassed and just. Like, if you want to try and do it at the end without any of it, like, number one, it's going to be real fucking hard to get there, and you're probably going to die trying to get to the end boss. But if you do manage to make it there, and you have a stick in your hand, then you theoretically should be able to beat the game. Like, that would be great.
Yeah.
That would be great.
I don't know. But yeah,
let's hope they don't.
I'm having a lot of fun playing it.
Great. That's awesome. Let me just make a mark here so I could actually put timestamps.
Nope.
What'd you say? What have I been playing?
Yeah, what have you been playing, Mark?
I've been bouncing around playing a lot of stupid, not stupid, just this and that like I always do. Just turn the thing on, but I have been doing Ring Fit Adventure.
Nice. Working up a sweat?
Dude, I did an exercise session for 25 minutes. And so it measures the amount of time that you're moving, not the amount of time that you're playing. Like, okay. So like the game, if you're just reading dialogue or in menus, it's not counting that time. So it was a full-on 25 minutes of activity.
Working it.
Yeah. And by the end of 25 minutes, I was rocked and pouring sweat. I'm talking dripping all over the fucking carpet. It was intense because it asks you when you go back for your second session, like, how was that first workout? Did you feel like you were handling it all right? Do you need to kick it down a notch? Do you want to pick it up a notch and make it a little more difficult?
Are you dying?
No, so on the first one, I was like, I feel like I did the first one. You know, I was tired and worked up a sweat, but I felt, like I handled it just fine. So I was like, yeah, let's kick it up just one notch. So you kick it up a notch, and it's clearly a little bit harder, and you have to hold the ring in for longer on certain exercises, but it's working. Like for me, I never had the patience to sit and learn the guitar, but when Rocksmith gamified it and was like, no, just do this, and I'm like, wow, now I know how to play several chords, and I know some songs, and I can like actually run through some what do you call it when you do the
scales?
Yeah. I could do scales and this and that. Same thing with this. I was never really motivated to follow. Like, I would exercise, sure, here and there, and I would be active, like whether it was on a skateboard or riding a bike or something, like do push-ups and sit-ups. That was like the extent of my working out. With this game, it's like I want to beat the game because it's a game that I'm playing. I want to put it on my list of games that I've beaten, but it's like, it's not like, I don't know, I would feel like such a schlub if I figured out some way to bypass the input commands, but it's like, what a waste of a golden opportunity to do that anyway. I'm just like, so I don't care if it's hard. I'm not going to go for, there's not going to be any 3-hour sessions of that game. That's just not a possibility. I mean, it is, but you would need to like space that out and you'd be sore. It's so, that's the one thing I've probably been playing the most, aside from the more relevant game that there is to talk about, which is Ghost of Tsushima, which I picked up yesterday. I meant to play and stream it last night, but that didn't work out. And I was going to stream it this morning, but then I decided I was just going to play it on the big TV downstairs. And, like, it ended up being the better decision because with the surround sound. Like, so, spoiler-free, there's no spoilers. I've actually not even been playing long enough to give any real spoilers. I've probably put like an hour and a half to 2 hours into that game, and that's enough for me to say at the very beginning. Let me just mark this too. I just want to make sure I get this for later. 32. At the very beginning, where they're teaching you controls and here's how you block, here's how you parry, here's how you dodge, here's how you attack, here's a strong attack, here's a stab attack. It was kind of frustrating me. Like, it was trying to teach me how to parry, and it's like hit block right before the attack comes in. So I would do that, and I would get hit, and I would fail the thing. And I would just, it started feeling like when a game sucks, and you're like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm like, well, it's got to be me, because people are, it's got an 84 on Metacritic, at least when I last checked. And people are talking, highly of it. So I'm like, I got to give it more of a chance. And I did eventually get through some frustrating parts early in the game to where I started hearing some story and like really starting to understand who this character is. And just from that hour and a half of that, I'm like, I'm going to see this one through to the end. Like, and the game is gorgeous, and the controls, it feels just fine now that I'm like used to it. I came off of like, the last game I played like that was The Last of Us, so I'm just like, okay, there's stealth in that game, there's stealth in this game, but they're totally different systems. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm glad that it feels like Tenchu a little bit, the game that I was talking about for PS1. that I was like excited to play because I love Tenchu Stealth Assassins.
Right.
Yeah. Granted, this is not a ninja game; it's a samurai game, and samurai is different. It's all about one-on-one sword fighting and like honor and not sneaking up on people. And this is sort of like the theme of the game, like the ghost of Tsushima as we've seen in the trailers. This isn't a spoiler because I feel like it's not a spoiler because Sucker Punch showed it in their trailer. But you choose if you want to do stealth or not. That's what makes you the ghost of Tsushima. Like, that's the name of the game. And I could tell you a little bit more about how I'm feeling about the game, but like I said, I played it for an hour and a half, and I like it. I want to see it through to the end, but it does lead me into what I wanted to have as our first topic of conversation for tonight, and that's just a general conversation about spoilers and what it means for news publications and podcasts and reviewers and aggregate sites and just people on Twitter, like what it means to spoil a game. And I'm just gonna lead off right with it, is that some podcasts that I've been listening to proclaim at the very beginning of their episode that they're not going to spoil the game that they've been playing, but they are going to tell you how they feel about it. And then they proceed to spoil the game for me. And I'm like, okay, I get it. You're not spoiling story beats. You're not going like, here's what this character's, here's the twist, here's the plot twist. Like, they're not okay, great, you didn't spoil the story for me. Wonderful. But you're spoiling the gameplay experience when you tell me, this mechanic works like this. And this, is how, when you spend this many ability points, here's the different like ability trees that you could unlock. And this is very generic talk. I'm not trying to spoil. I'm obviously not trying to, but it's like, I know that that's not story stuff, and you're technically not, it's not anything new to have these things in the game, but like, don't you think that I kind of wanted to figure out that, let me, something else totally random and generic, like, don't you think I wanted to figure out that if I got 20 of this thing, then that would unlock this ability, and not have you tell me before I play it? You know what I mean? Right. Like, I just feel like people are starting to be careless with that, and I don't know if I'm just being sensitive or if you guys think that that's a problem as well.
No, I think that you can easily give away way more than you're intending to. I think that if you can make it more generic without sounding like every other game when you describe a thing, that's really the way you should go about it. At least for, I would say, at least a week after the game comes out. Give everybody a week to like try and pick this thing up. Like, if you really care about spoilers, a week. After the week, you're out of the safe zone. Then it's on you. You had a week.
So a lot of these podcasts, though, they want to get their shit up there in case people don't care about spoilers, and they can go and listen to the spoiler cast, or they can watch the spoiler review. Yes. But like, if the thing says no spoilers,
then it should be as generic as humanly possible. If you're telling me, gain 20 coins and unlock laser vision, like, no. You should tell me you obtain collectibles to use on a skill tree, and that you get to choose what skills you unlock.
Right. Don't tell me the name of the
skills.
Tell
me what they are, or what they're doing, or how I collect the currency.
Don't tell me how many different colored robes there are. Like, I remember them talking about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. When I say they, like, I listen to, the ones I listen to. It's kind of funny. It's the Beyond podcast. It's IGN, like, Min-Max show. But they all seem to kind of just fall back. It doesn't seem like they're trying. I don't think anybody's being malicious and they're trying to spoil anything. Yeah. But it's just
and like you said, they're not giving away story, which is what most people would be upset about. Like, I think that the general audience probably wouldn't be mad if you said, "Oh, give me 20 things and you get this thing." Like, okay, great. Now I know that, one, there's 20 of these things in this game, and two, there's one of these things that can be unlocked with it. Right. Like, not a super spoiler that doesn't tell me how everyone's dead at the end or whatever, but like,
spoiler alert right now, just real quick, for God of War for PS4, God of War 20, what is it, 18?
Yeah.
Somebody told me, here, one more time, spoiler
this
alert.
This is a big spoiler.
Big spoiler for God of War. So give me like 20 seconds. But somebody told me that you get Kratos's Blades of Chaos before I found them. It's a terrible spoiler.
Because that's like a moment.
Yeah, that is a moment, dude. That's
but
like,
he was thinking about it like that's not a spoiler, that's gameplay, and I'm like, yeah, well, you don't have those, and they don't explain why you don't have them, and then you do eventually get them
to it too.
Like, and I just saw the gameplay footage that they showed, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna have an axe in this one. Didn't even cross my mind.
Right. I don't know though. I feel like sometimes those generic little hints like that though can be kind of fun.
Sure.
Because while we were talking about spoilers and no spoilers, when I was playing The Last of Us and went through, Pop was just like, some of the things that I love about that game you can't spoil, like the giraffe. And that's all I had to go by. And then when I walked up on that giraffe in that game, I was like, oh shit, this is nice.
Yeah.
Like,
damn. You can't, like, it's like I can say that I'm like, dude, there's a giraffe in the game, and
it's a giraffe, and I'm like,
okay, like,
but everywhere for an old abandoned Toys R Us with Jeffrey Giraffe up there, like, where is he?
Right.
Even like, I won't even go into details, but like, there were certain stuff that I got spoiled for The Last of Us Part 2, and like those were like pretty big spoilers. But even the way, like, knowing that, I was still like surprised and didn't expect how it played out the way it did, where it's like, so just because you get spoiled on something, but there is like for example last week, right, like when Mike was like I'm on day 2 in Last of Us Part 2, I was like, like in my head I was like, oh yeah, there's no way that he finishes this game by this week, like. But like, I didn't want to say that because that could potentially be a spoiler to him. So it's like I didn't. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah. But like in my head, I was like, yeah, there's no way. Like,
I'm sure now you know that now by playing a little bit more.
Now knowing, just saying day 2, like you could have taken that a couple.
Well, yeah, because I almost did when you said day 2, I was like, oh, and then you said something else, and I was like, oh, wait, okay, yeah, he's not finishing this game by next week.
Yeah. I think I could have, too, if I had dedicated one more day to it. I just had one day where I was like...
I'm kind of happy. I feel like I'm going to be able to play through it again before you finish, so like then I'll be fresh for the...
God damn, do I really have that much left?
Oh, well, no, I mean, I might just put it on super easy and blast through it just so I can see everything again,
Yeah. Maybe I don't know, man. I tell you what, I looked up that game on how long to beat, and it said like 22 and a half hours.
Oh, no way.
And when I looked it up,
it's a straight lie.
When I looked it up, I was already 19 hours deep, and I was like, okay, well, let's see what's up. And then I did what I did with Last of Us 1, which was find the YouTube complete walkthrough and just slowly push myself forward until I find where I am.
Yeah.
See how long that is to the end of their video. Yeah, so my 19 hours on a 22 and a half hour playthrough really came down on the YouTube to being 14 and a half hours into a 21 hour playthrough.
Yeah. Oh, okay, so
like one said I was 3 hours away and one said I was 7.5 hours away.
You're looking in every nook and cranny, it seems like.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I am. There's not a goddamn thing that got by me.
I play that way as well. So, like, I feel like my runtime of the game was, like, longer than most.
Yeah.
And I'm, like, I can't remember exactly, but, like, I was, like, way past, like, where people were saying, like, oh, it took me about this time to beat it. Is like, I was, like, 5 or 6 hours past that.
Yeah. Anyway. Spoilers.
Yeah.
Like I said.
Yeah, everybody has different, like I don't know, just using something that, like, I feel like you can't spoil. It's like, okay, like Jurassic Park came out in fucking 93. Like, if you haven't seen it, fuck you. Like, it's a great movie.
Yo, that's the fucking title of this episode. If you haven't seen Jurassic Park, fuck you.
It's like if somebody had never seen Jurassic Park, like going back then, right? Like, somebody had never seen Jurassic Park before. If I was like, oh, dude, there's a T-Rex, it's so sick, somebody might be like, oh my god, dude, you just spoiled the movie for me. Like, what the fuck? But then I could be like, dude, it's called Jurassic Park, and the logo is a dinosaur, the skeleton of a T-Rex. Like,
yeah, what if they were like,
well, like I knew there was a T-Rex in it before I even saw the movie, right? Like, I feel like there's completely different levels of like spoilers for people.
Yeah, but what if that person told you, like, oh, I didn't think there would be a T-Rex in the Jurassic Park because T-Rex didn't exist in the Jurassic period.
Yeah, like,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like velociraptors. That's not a real dinosaur.
That was a bird.
Yeah. But whatever. It's like, I think that there's different levels of like spoiling. So like if you're going to label something, if you're going to label something like, oh, no spoilers, or like this is a non-spoiler thing, like I feel like you really have to take into consideration like every possible amount of spoiler. Which in some of these cases, because especially with like if I'm gonna play a game, I try to avoid everything other than like general like, okay, like, hey, you know, I don't know, I can't think of a game that came out recently that was like bad, but like
Eternal.
Sea of Thieves, right? Like when Sea of Thieves I played the beta of Sea of Thieves and I was like, this was fun, but like I want to know what the real game is like, because this seemed like a very small portion of the game. And I had a friend who was like, I'm going to buy Sea of Thieves right when it comes out. I want to play it. And I was like, dude, I had so much fun. Like, I could see myself spending $60 on this. And then, like, so, like, when I was looking to buy that, I looked at, like, reviews of, like, okay, hey, like, if you played the beta, that's the real game. Like, it's not, they don't add anything. It's like the beta was the game. And so like that might be a spoiler to some people or whatever, but that like benefited me from like not buying the game, right? Like I was able, so like stuff in cases like
I don't think that's a spoiler, because to know
because you had to,
that's buyer beware. That's buyer beware.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like for me, like if I'm looking into something before it comes out, that's kind of what I'm looking for. If like I'm on the fence of something, I just want a very generic, like, hey, like, is it worth buying or is it not worth buying? Like I'm not looking for like reviews or anything like that. So like I've kind of avoided like most of that stuff. But like because it's such a big release, right? Like The Last of Us Part 2, after beating it, I went back and watched some of these podcasts and talks of people that came out before the game came out right as the game came out, of them non-spoiler, and like a lot of them are like, dude, like if I would have listened to this before I played the game, that would have ruined certain moments for me.
We talked about it. I forget which episode it was, but we talked about, remember the topic was, is Naughty Dog spoiling their own game?
Yep.
Yeah, like and I purposely avoided like gameplay because I just didn't want to see it. And like even going back and like looking at that, like watching that gameplay section and then comparing it to like how I play, like, you know what, like that kind of like, it wasn't a spoiler, but like to some people I could see how it would be like, okay, like like I didn't want to see that before I played the game.
Let me give you guys a perfect example of what I'm talking about here, and I'm going to I guess by the terms of what I was just talking about, I'm going to spoil a gameplay element of Ghost of Tsushima. Do you want to not hear it?
Real quick before you go into that, I also feel like it is very fair though for like if something's more than like, I don't know, 2 years old, all bets are off. Like if I'm talking about like I don't know, like last week I talked about Far Cry 4, or I'm sorry, not Far Cry. Last week I talked about Fallout 4, right? Like there was no hesitation with me whatsoever to spoil the beginning of the game. It's like, yeah, you'd lose your son. You're trying to find him. Like that would be a huge spoiler to some people, right? But it's like that game.
Yeah, but like, if you're gonna play the game, you learn that when you boot it up.
Yeah, but like I feel like there's a cutoff. Like there's a certain point where it's like I feel like you lose the right to having people talk about something and spoiling it for you, and you being like, you spoiled that for me. It's like, well, if you really cared about it, you would have gotten to it before.
It's the rule of ones. It's you can't talk about it regardless for 1 week. You have to give everybody a chance. You can talk about it in the following month, but you have to say spoilers. and then after a year it's been out, you don't have to say anything. You can just talk about
it. I don't know. Like, if I spoil, like, Jurassic Park for you, it's like, well, you should have seen it.
No,
like,
it becomes fucked up without that. With that 1 year rule, I like that, because you got to assume that the company that you keep is gonna be like in tune to what it is that you're talking about. So it's got to be on them to be like, well, no, I haven't seen that yet. Don't spoil that for me. You know what I mean? And then, Mike, are you frozen?
No, I think he is frozen. Yeah,
Mike, if you can hear me, I can't hear you, and you're frozen. Having some technical. That's a fun screen that he's paused on too.
Yeah.
What I'm saying though is, Mike, you are frozen. Sorry, technical difficulties. Computer's freaking out. He's saying, okay,
Yeah.
Hold up. Oh, there he goes.
So yeah, just to go like, I will add like a little bit of this conversation too, of like, you know, there's like, I don't know. I feel like
Welcome back, Mike.
yeah, welcome back.
I just fell in the void there.
What was I saying though when you froze? Because I was in.
I don't know. You were like, I'm gonna spoil a game.
No.
My computer's
God, no, don't tell me.
I remember that part, but I was making some other point, and I won't know until I rewatch this because I've already forgotten.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like there's certain games that like I feel like I've come across recently that like you guys have expressed, like Celeste, for example. Like, I know Mike's beat it. Like, I've played it. I love it. It came out at the beginning of 2018. But like, I know Mark has like started to play it, and it's like I want him to finish it because I want us to talk about it. So like, I'm not willing. Like, I want him to get that same experience. So I don't want him to be spoiled. So I feel like there are
in there. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, but like, there are exceptions where it's like, okay, like, as much as I would love to just like dive deep into why I think like Hypnospace Outlaws may be the best game I've played all year, like, I don't want to spoil it for you guys. So I'm like, okay, like, I can hold off. Like, I want them to have the same experience I did. Like, I want Mark to experience Celeste the way that I did.
That just reminded me of where I was going before with that, with Mike's rule of ones, where
the 1 year.
Yeah. If you're keeping certain company that should, like, if you're hanging around a bunch of nerds and they should have all seen Star Wars, then you're probably going to be very cavalier about how you talk about Star Wars spoilers. But also, if somebody is cognizant of that because they're in that group and they are, familiar with nerd culture, and they hear like two people are about to start talking about Star Wars, they could chime in and say, no, I've never seen Star Wars,
Yeah.
And then they'll probably get some ridicule, like, why haven't you seen Star Wars? But that's not the point. Then they'll have the courtesy, I would assume, to not spoil it for you. So it's really after the 1 year, you got to be on your toes about the shit, and like, if you don't want to spoil,
if you're trying to not have something spoiled for you, but it's on you after that. But I wouldn't expect to like walk up to somebody on the street now and be like, hey, you played that new God of War from 2018, and they'd be like, nah, and be like, let me tell you about this. Unless they said no, don't do it, I would have no problem just being like, yeah, this is the greatest story, this is why you should play this thing. Like, listen to this.
To help put it in perspective, to get back to where I was going before, is here's what was talked about. I'm going to spoil a little small game. I just want to see if I'm being petty. So I'm gonna do to you what was done to me, because it's not ruining my game. No. I'm listening to a podcast and they're talking about Ghost of Tsushima, and then before I really know anything about the gameplay or what's going on, even like, I know it's a game about samurais, so I could probably deduce that some of this shit is going to be in it. But it's Greg Miller starts talking about like, oh, you have this many shurikens and this many firecrackers and this many smoke bombs, and I'm just like, oh, okay, so now I know that there's shurikens and firecrackers and smoke bombs, and like, you didn't say anything else, so what is there? Is that it? Is there one more thing? Is there two more things? Like, I don't know. But you just spoiled that part of the game. Like, I didn't even know that there was throwables. I mean, I guess I should have figured that there would be, but I wouldn't have been mad if they made the decision not to include it if the story was good and could stand on its own. So like, now I don't get that sense of like, oh, all right, I unlocked throwables. Like, so am I wrong here? Are they wrong?
I wouldn't
like this was I listened to it the day the game came out.
So so the game came out yesterday, right? Like, or Friday.
Yeah. That's
you just said that to me. Like, I'm like, oh, okay, that doesn't ruin anything for me whatsoever.
Okay. Yeah.
So like that's how I feel about it, and I'm like you, where it's like, yeah, pretty much the only thing I know about this game is you play as a samurai, and I've seen people post screenshots of the game, and it looks really pretty. Like,
yeah.
That's the only two things I really know about the game. So you say that doesn't ruin anything for me, but I could see how it would ruin.
Right.
Like I said, like it's all variant on like what degree of thing. Like I don't know. Like I said, like I got something major spoiled for me in The Last of Us Part 2, and like that didn't ruin the game for me, and I was still surprised / shocked / didn't expect it that way when that thing happened. So it's like, maybe like my tolerance is a little bit higher than other people's.
I feel like I could maybe even spoil another thing that's, I guess, according to the rest of the gaming industry or the games journalism industry, is not really considered a spoiler, and maybe could even be considered as a helpful piece of information to somebody who's about to play the game. Here was another thing that was said on a podcast, and if you're really trying to avoid everything about Ghost of Tsushima, just plug your ears for 5 seconds. But they were like, oh, you can make decisions in this game, and they don't affect shit.
No.
So I heard that, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, at least I won't be thinking about that now. So maybe that's kind of good. But
yeah, I mean,
maybe it was meant to make you think that you were altered. I don't know what the Sucker Punch was trying to do with this game. But it's not Infamous. Infamous. Right, Infamous.
Yeah, the game before had like a very obvious like light, dark.
Yeah.
Bad, good.
So, and then a lot of people, I guess, the general consensus from what I heard from listening to this podcast is that they were wondering maybe if that stuff was happening in the background and they just weren't telling you, because in Infamous there was a meter, a good and a bad meter. So, but this game the main character is very clear about his intentions and about how he feels about what's going on. The game is about the Mongolian Empire invading Japan, this island in Japan, and that's the main premise of the game. That's not a spoiler, so you can just imagine where it goes from there. But play it. I'm giving it an endorsement, that game, because it does, like you said, it looks really pretty. It's good on the sticks. Sucker Punch knows what they're doing, and
I have it installed. I just haven't. I installed it today. I just haven't had an opportunity to play it yet. One thing that is completely like off topic, but has everything to do with Ghost of Tsushima. Like, I thought it was interesting. I saw somebody say that Sucker Punch, from like CEO to like marketing team to developers, everything, like their company is made up of less than 200 people, which is like mind blowing to me. It was like, whoa, like I feel like they seem like a way bigger studio, but like that's kind of crazy if that's true. I don't know if it's true or not, but like that I don't know. They just seem like I don't know, like way more than a 200 person from like top level to bottom level team.
I'll check it out, but you want to move it to the next thing, I think.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be the next one in order. You could just pick a topic.
Well,
no, it's got to be the next one.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
So Lego has had this partnership kind of announced for a while now with Nintendo, but it was very like vague. Like there was like, oh, this one, like, here's level 1 of Super Mario, but in Lego form, right? Like, and it was very like, I don't know, like it just seemed, but they kept hinting at like, there's going to be more, there's more, and they didn't really announce anything. And like, I feel like just recently in the last like few weeks, they came out with a couple different Lego sets of Nintendo, and then the big one that they kind of announced a few days ago was it looks like the original NES, right? Like it's the console and the controller.
Oh yeah.
and then it also has it comes with a TV, like a retro style antenna coming out of the top, dials that you can turn, TV made out of Legos.
It's awesome.
And
I love it.
The screen is a level of Super Mario that you can rotate.
Right, it's mechanical.
And it goes through the level. So, like, the gaps and, like, pipes and stuff will rotate through as, like, Mario, the character, moves up and down. It's pretty cool.
Think Lego Technics is how the screen rotates. You build with bricks, and then it rotates around like a pulley system to simulate the way that those old... You ever see those old toys where it's like a TV with a scrolling, like, paper wheel behind a light? Yeah, and it makes it look like there's TV happening.
Driving on the road or something.
Oh yeah, there was those too. Those those were pretty cool. But yeah, this Nintendo 1-for-1 for size, the scale of it, and that's pretty cool. And it comes with a little cartridge that goes in and pushes down.
Yeah, amazing.
But what my initial thought, and I'm sure many people's initial thought, and our friend of the show, he goes on Twitch by the name of Mustaine75. I was talking to him. We were actually playing some Uncharted 4, believe it or not, online. And he was like, yo, did you see that Nintendo? That thing's cool, man. He's like, I always wanted to pick up one of those NES classics, but I never got around to it. So I'm thinking this is going to be the way to go. So I'll have the cool Lego Nintendo, and I'll be able to play all those games. And I'm like, oh, man. Do I hate to be the bearer of bad news? I was like, because I know that tweet, that commercial that they tweeted, really gives the impression at first that this thing is going to play video games.
But even with a cartridge and a controller and a system, doesn't quite work like that.
Yikes. That's a big... you know that people are going to take the guts and put it in there and make it work. There's going to be some out there that play games, but you're talking about what's this thing going to cost actually as it is right now? $250? I think $250.
Does it come the whole thing though, as the TV and the system and everything?
What it doesn't come with is the Lego Mario that goes on top.
Yeah.
That makes the TV react to the sounds that are happening, as the level scrolls by. So if you want that whole setup, then that's going to be an extra whatever. But I'm guessing no less than $200 for this thing. Legos have always been expensive. I remember with the Lego Harry Potter one was like, what was that? Like that was like $300.
Yeah. That thing was crazy.
Then they had the Tower of Orthanc from Lord of the Rings 2.
Yep.
The big giant, not Sauron's tower, but the tower at what the fuck? Isengard, the Saruman, the white wizard.
Yeah,
his tower. That shit was like over $300. It's over $400 now because they discontinued it. So eBay, price hike. I want that thing too, but this Nintendo, I'm gonna try to get it. I'm gonna see if I can work it in, but it's like it's just a cool thing for the shelf, and it'll be fun to build. I'm sure it'll be really fun to build.
Oh yeah,
haven't built Legos, and so this thing is anything with Nintendo on it. Just go. Like remember that Vans did the shoes with the Mario and the Zelda.
Yep.
Like those are all sold out. You can't find that shit anywhere.
Nintendo stuff holds its value really well.
Freaking Mario Kart for an N64 is still $50.
Like I said, man, really well.
Smash on 64, $50. Ocarina it's more common. Probably but like $40 for that.
Yeah.
I'm talking loose cartridges too.
Yeah. Not even fuck your packaging.
What's Melee cost?
Oh man, I don't know. Last time that I bought it, I think I paid $35 for it.
That was when?
Which is hilarious.
Probably like close to 10 years ago now.
Ooh, no, that was close to 6 years ago now.
Oh, okay.
5 or 6 years ago. Yeah.
Did you buy it at a convention?
Actually, No, I bought it at I stopped at a random mall after like a day trip that we went somewhere. We like stopped to get food and stuff.
Yeah.
And I happened to notice they had a comic shop, and the comic shop was selling retro games before it was like, before you started seeing retro game stores like popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
It was just like a comic shop that had retro games. I was like, oh, let me take a look. And they had Melee, and they had a GameCube. And I was like, oh shit, let me get that. And so I paid $35 for Melee and $30 for a GameCube. Love it.
That is cool.
Yeah.
What do you think? You think you're gonna get this Nintendo Lego thing?
Listen, if it's not $200, maybe. But if it's $200 for me to like put together a miniature NES that I already have, and this one plays a bunch of games, and this one's just going to be a Lego thing that sits there, I don't know, man.
See,
I just don't know.
I kind of hope that they release a version of it where it's just the Nintendo and not the mechanical TV part.
Yeah, I would be down with that. Like, just build the little retro scale Nintendo, and then do that for all of your systems. And
I could justify spending like $100 on that. Maybe like that would be the most. Because I know that this thing is going to be $200, like minimum.
It's going to be expensive.
When you said, "Oh, if it's not $200, then I'll get it," well, it's not going to be $200 because it's probably going to be like $225 or $250. It could even be like $275. Who knows? They could charge whatever they want because people are going to buy it.
Yeah, because it's Lego and it's Nintendo. It's like
because they could even piss everybody off and be like, it's $500 and it's 100 of them only exist in the world. Like those are all going to go.
You could find 90 of them on eBay.
I know. From the same seller.
One guy with a stack of 15 of them, like, hey, you guys want some of these?
Speaking of people that you want to uppercut off of the planet.
Yes. Directly into the sun.
Man, why are we not doing something about that? I guess because they're not breaking any laws, really.
Technically.
Scalping used to be illegal, but nobody gives a shit anymore. There's websites to help you scalp.
Hell yeah, there are.
So, whatever. Just get in line. Get up early and get in line if you want it that bad. If you don't want it bad enough to get up, go and stand in a line outside of a Walmart or whatever with a bunch of other lames such as yourself. And I'm including myself in that crowd because I would do it. If you don't want to get up and do that, then you don't want it bad enough. Because, or I suppose you could maybe want it even more and go spend like 3 times what it's worth on eBay for it.
Yeah, that's just it, man. How much do you want it? Is your time worth more to you that you'd pay somebody else to go hunt it down and you just get it shipped right to your door? Or is it worth it for you to get it at retail because that's what you should pay for the thing?
Retail is so expensive already. Sand. Somebody should give me one for free. Who?
Hashtag not an ad.
Hashtag not an ad. Hashtag could be an ad. Hashtag make this an ad.
Yeah, right.
No, hashtag make the Lego Nintendo play actual games.
Yes.
Are you on the next topic?
I am.
It's nothing too special. The PS5 has a landing page on Amazon.
Ooh, and it's so sleek and sexy.
Yeah, you know what it looks like? It looks like PS5 marketing.
Yeah, it sure does. A whole lot of it. Like a whole page. With no button that says, like, reserve yours today, or, pre-orders coming soon, or... Nah, just information.
What that kind of says to me...
Pictures.
...is that it's going to be, It's going to be... Let me see if I can... Oh, there you go. Pre-orders are going to be up soon. That's what this page says.
Think so?
Well, I mean, they're preparing for something, and PlayStation has publicly stated that they're not going to spring pre-orders like in the middle of the night randomly.
Wow.
So they're going to be transparent about when this thing is going to go up for pre-order. Which I don't know which one's better.
If they do.
Like, because there's definitely bots that are going to be ready to buy them all up.
Right.
But
bots are going to be ready anyway.
But you could be prepared and just on the lookout and get lucky and be able to pre-order it. Or if they announce when it's going to be available for pre-order, then the servers get jammed up and some people get it and some people don't. So it's really a lose-lose.
Everyone gets it, and then you find out it was a server error and you actually didn't get yours.
Oh, didn't that happen? What did that happen with not too long ago?
I don't know about not too long ago, but that was Switch? Like a big thing with Amiibos for a while. They had a whole problem with like GameStop crashed their whole website the first time they got an exclusive. They like their website broke and then their in-store orders broke, so like GameStops were useless all over the country for like hours till they got their whole internet thing situated.
Yeah.
Amiibos, man.
Yeah, man. So this Amazon landing page is pretty cool. I'm looking at it here, and you've got, just for audio listeners, you've got your two PS5 models at the top of the page, one with a disc drive and one without. It says it's tripling down on holiday 2020. And then they've got a new slogan. It looks like play has no limits.
Oh.
Experience lightning fast loading with an ultra high speed SSD, deeper immersion with support for haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, and 3D audio, and an all new generation of incredible PlayStation games.
Ooh.
Then we've got a little teaser video, which is just the reveal from the event, it looks like. And then we've got some
lightning speed. Harness the power of custom CPU, GPU, and SSD with integrated I/O that rewrites the rules of what a PlayStation copyright console can do.
Yeah, so what's interesting is that the digital edition and the disc edition both look like, now after seeing it long enough, pretty normalized when they're standing vertical. But the digital edition, while it's on its side, looks weird, man. Like
it looks like a Jetson house.
And the one with the disc, I just don't know why they chose to put it on the bottom. Is it because heat rises? Does that have anything to do with anything?
No, I think it's just gross design.
Yeah, I feel like the disc port, the vacuum port, should be above, but what do I know?
Or in the center so it blends in.
Oh, in the black part?
Yeah. Like move shit around and put it at the top or something, or, you know.
Hey, Pop, welcome back. We're talking about the PlayStation 5 landing page on Amazon.
Yep. Sorry, I had to take my dog out.
That's fine. How is she?
Oh, she's good. So I took her, I don't remember if I told you guys, but last Friday, I woke up to her just like randomly bleeding from her hip. It's like super weird. I was like, "What the fuck's going on?"
Stigmata?
So I had to take her to the vet last Friday. They like ended up finding this little spot on her that they were like, "We think this is a cyst that just got infected, but it also could be cancer. We don't know."
Oh,
so they took a little like cut of it to test, and then gave her some antibiotics. This Friday I had to take her back. Came back, everything's good. It's not cancer or anything. It's just an infected cyst. That's really good. But long story short, she's like in pain from it. I have to clean it 3 times a day, so I had to do that and take her out, and she's upset with me. So.
Yeah,
that's sad.
I would be too.
PS5's landing page on Amazon. Sorry.
Yeah, I feel like there's some news incoming, right? Did you guys happen to see this? Kind of goes along with it. The Jeff Keighley like PlayStation 5 controller reveal event thing. It was super weird.
No.
Where like essentially the Jeff Keighley's like Summer of Games or whatever that thing is called. He had like a 30-minute live event where he reviewed the DualSense. And he played the Astrobot game. I forgot the exact name of it.
The fuck? Astro's Playroom.
Astro's Playroom, yeah, like it's the one that comes on the PS5, and he went through it, and they revealed like it's gonna be a full game. It's not a tech demo. It's hours long. But then everything he played of it was like, no, this is a tech demo. Like it just looked like a tech demo. I don't know.
They need to suck it the fuck up and include Dreams with every PS5, not Astro's Playroom.
It's like, this is the spring world. Now let's see that haptic feedback on the triggers. It's like, this is a tech demo. Like, I don't.
What a fucking asshole!
But yeah, like it was really awkward. He was like trying to describe the PlayStation 5 controller, and like it just came off really weird. But also timing wise, it came off really weird because it was like, why is just the PlayStation just randomly sending out the controller like on a random like Wednesday? Like it was just weird.
Jeff Keighley just had that controller sitting there looking at it for months. Like, what am I gonna do with this? I gotta figure out a way to own this. I know. I'll do a controller re-reveal. Shit's been revealed 4 times already.
Yeah, like he really didn't say anything new. Like even it was kind of funny because like when he was describing the trigger, the haptic feedback, he's like, yeah, it's like the tension on a bow. And it's like, dude, how many times we're going to use like that same example of like, I feel like it's just gone around. Like that was the first time I heard it, like back when like even before this, when it was like what's those like expensive branded PS4 controllers? I forgot what they're called.
Oh, the Astros.
Yeah, like whatever. Where it's like they had the
Everything's called Astro.
No, wasn't something with an S like Scuffs or?
Oh,
yeah,
those.
the Scuffs.
Oh, okay.
The Scuff controllers where you could like change the like tension on the triggers for the PS4 controller, and like that whole thing was like the way they described that was like, yeah, it's like if you pull back a bow, like the more you push, the more you put. And it's like, how many times are we gonna use this example to describe like the trigger?
What else can it do besides simulate a bow?
It has buttons.
It's like when people try to describe the
what else can
rumble in the Joy-Cons, and it's like, oh, you can feel how many ice cubes are in the control, and it's like, I get that, but what other, like, if I didn't buy 1-2 Switch, what other use would this come? And it's like, the answer is it doesn't really, like, have an effect on anything, but that's the thing that people go to describe. Like, you can feel how many ice cubes are in the Joy-Con, and it's like, I don't need to know that, like, oh, if I pulled back on a bow, it would tell me, like, I don't know. It's just
it is a tired old example of what adaptive haptic trigger feedback is, whatever the fuck. Oh, it's gonna, when you're driving in mud, it's gonna feel like you're driving in mud. Like, okay, so is it gonna feel like how my hands wrapped around the steering wheel would feel when I'm driving in mud, or is it gonna feel like what the tires would feel like driving in mud? Because
you'll feel a little spring pressure on the gas, and then when you hit that mud, it'll just free spin. You'll be able to nail that thing to them. Oh man, there's no resistance. I'm just free spinning in mud.
Hey,
oh my god!
If they figure it out like that, then okay. But they need to like.
I would rather see the haptic feedback put to the joysticks, so that you could get
resistance against them.
This is one for racing. Like it's designed to play racing games.
When you
use it when you race and when you take the corners and stuff, it gives you the feedback against the thumbsticks.
Yeah, when you're running up a hill, it pushes back against your thumb to like make it harder to run up the hill.
Exactly.
And obviously, you would be able to turn that on and off. That would be great.
Yeah, you do it with like a feedback button, like they used to have the analog button on the old PlayStation 2 controllers.
Okay.
You have that little analog button.
Yeah.
The haptic feedback on off. You don't even have to change the design again. You keep the same damn PlayStation controller.
I feel like I remember playing, maybe it was NCAA or some basketball game where, like, to shoot, it was a control scheme that you could use, where you could pull down on an analog stick, and then when it reached a certain like sweet spot, then you flick
like free
forward.
Throws.
Those okay, there we go. Yeah.
Free throws in 2K for a while. You pulled down on the stick, then you had to watch the characters like release, and then when it got to where you think he would shoot, you had to let go of the stick to like release the ball.
I remember the difficulty was ramped up on that, but it was very rewarding when you made shots that way. That was cool. So like that's something that could be done with haptic feedback in the joysticks rather than the. But now we're talking about like $150 controller.
I mean, sure, but why the hell not?
I guess. Do
you guys always asking what's going to push the next console?
Do you guys care that games are going to cost $70 next gen?
No.
Did we talk about that last week?
Yeah, we talked about it last week. Okay. It just depends on the game for me. Like,
yeah.
I just hope that, like we said, it doesn't cause a general inflation of game prices. I feel like AAA titles with all the work put in, $70 instead of $60. Like, yes, absolutely. Here you go. Feed those poor goddamn people's families. Like, seriously. But if you're gonna crap out another shitty indie game for like what would be 99 cents on Steam, and all of a sudden you're like, now it's $5.99 on Steam. Like, I'm not paying that because this one costs $70 now, and you think you can get away with it.
And then
also, to me, the big like question mark is the Switch, right? Like, because it's like, what are these games that are cross-platform? Like NBA 2K, right? Comes out on Xbox, PlayStation, and Switch. It's like, is the Switch staying the same because the hardware is staying the same, or is it like going up because the other two are going up? Like, how does that work?
That might be like, it would kind of be a bad look for Nintendo to be like, oh, everybody's raising their game prices, we're gonna do it too, and then everybody's response would be like, nah,
Breath
man,
of the Wild 2, is it 60 or 70? I don't know.
Well, we do know that people would pay 70. That's
and I think you ease people into it. I think you could just do a 65.
You know what? I think they could
creep for a year or two.
I think
it's 70 unless you're a Nintendo fucking online.
Ooh,
And it's 60.
I'm saying that Nintendo, and I wouldn't put it past them to do something like this. They could just say like, Breath of the Wild 2 comes on 2 cartridges and it's $75, and it probably wouldn't even need to be on a second cartridge because they're cartridges, but they would just be like, nah, this one's so amazing that it comes on 2 cartridges, one to load it and one to play. 75. And people are like, whoa, remember when games used to come on multiple discs? Now they're coming on multiple cartridges. And I'll be standing over there in the background like, nah, they saw you coming, so they were just like, charge this motherfucker 75.
The entire game is on one cartridge. The other cartridge just has a photo from the development team that says, "Thanks for playing."
No, it's a key. It's a key to unlock. You know what I mean? It's like a, what do they call it? A key generator or whatever. You know? Yeah, it's just gonna be like, you need this one inserted to bypass.
Authentication on this one. Boom. Okay, you're good. Put the game in now.
But yeah, I really hope that. I mean, that would finally give them a reason to come out with upgraded Switch hardware, like a Switch 2 or a Switch Pro or a new Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Please don't call it that.
The new Nintendo Switch.
The new Nintendo
I hope it has some bullshit name.
Can you go buy me an old new Nintendo Switch or a new old Nintendo?
XL Lite.
Yeah.
No.
Wait, what's the handheld one? The one that doesn't dock? Is it the Lite, or what is it?
Switch Lite.
Yeah, dude, I want them to be like, this is the Switch Lite XL Pro.
No, do you think that since they made one that's portable only, that they'll make one that's home console only, that's beefier and better?
I hope not.
Because
I really hope that they just improve upon the ability to split it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still under the notion that I feel like I would be upset if they came out with a better Switch that only ran certain. I don't know. I feel like my Switch is still new to me.
Yeah, I feel like you can't make him exclusive.
You can't make him exclusive. You just have to make them make the games look better.
Yeah, but the thing is that's what they did with the 3DS, and it didn't work. It's fucking Hyrule Warriors doesn't run on the, even though it came out on the regular 3DS, it doesn't run on the 3DS. It only runs on the new 3DS. It's only playable on that one.
Wait, what do you mean? You can play it on the original 3DS, but it just runs like
shit? Yes, it came out on both, but the original 3DS version runs at 9 frames a second, where the new 3DS runs at 20 frames a second. It's literally unplayable on the regular 3DS. Like, it's just a known thing. People are like, yeah, like it's a 1 on the 3DS, but it's a 7 on the new 3DS. Yikes. Because of like so like I feel like that's what's gonna end up happening. I don't know. I feel like it's too soon for like the Switch is still selling great. Like, just keep riding the wave. I don't need a new one. Like,
yeah.
I don't think with what we don't need to go too much more on this. Pop, with what you said about what time topic. You gotta. Oh, you want to go into this Phil Spencer thing, or did you want to do the Gamer Girl and then and then call it quits?
Well, I mean, I do want to do the Gamer Girl one, but I feel like the next topic I have a lot to say about because there's a lot.
Right, let's just blast them out. Then.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, let's just go to the Gamer Girl one real quick. Mark, you got the trailer ready?
Yeah, I do.
All right. There's a new game coming out. Have you ever been into a Twitch stream that's a female?
Never. What goes on there?
Okay, there's a lot of just dancing. There's a lot of IRL chatting. There's a lot of white knight moderating. You ever been upset when you go into a chat and your name is Pop That Baby Maker and you get banned instantly and judged?
Oh, yeah.
I have, okay? Now this game giving me the opportunity to play as the mod. I let everything go. Anything's on the table, okay? That's what I want.
And if your name is Love Bugs XX?
Yeah. So, I mean, PlayStation randomly like tweeted this tweet out of like this launch trailer. Like, and then they immediately deleted it. Like, you could tell it was like maybe something that they had automated that they forgot to take off or something. Like, it was up for like a couple minutes and then it was taken down. But it's this
so who do you play as, like a viewer? For the audio listeners, what's going on in this? Oh yeah, you're a mod.
The way that the like text shows up, I think you're playing as you're a mod for a streamer, and it's up to you what happened. Like, you can decide. Like, I think they're advertising it as the first FMV game with like options, like
choose your own adventure.
Yeah,
it's Goosebumps.
Yeah.
It looks like there's horror elements added. I mean, from what I'm seeing in this trailer.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. So obviously that's got to be just to push forward at some kind of story.
Yeah.
But I mean, when the first time that I saw this thing, I thought it was a hoax. I thought it was fake as hell.
I thought it was
like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. I don't know. I felt like it was newsworthy just to bring up because, like, it does kind of seem like, I don't know, like with everything going on, like there's a bit, especially in the like streaming / video game world, like something we didn't bring up, but I'll just throw out real quick, right? Like Ubisoft had a bunch of like executives and like top level people basically leave the company because of like sexual harassment claims and like stuff like that. Like, and I think this has been like a big thing that's kind of swept just general like gaming. Right, like whether it's companies or streamers or YouTubers or whatever, right? Like, there's been a lot of this coming out of like people claiming different things, and it just seems like the absolute like worst timing for something like this to come out. Where it's like, you know, there's been tons of streamers and YouTubers and content creators coming out and being like, "Hey, like I was harassed by this person for years," and then this game comes out, it's like, what if you can decide whether the streamer is harassed or not? And it's like, I don't know. Like, this doesn't seem like a great time. So,
okay. So, looking at this thing, right? It says it comes out in September. In the end of the trailer here. So, come September, who's the first streamer you want to see stream the streaming game?
I don't think any like named like big streamer plays this game. Like, this is
think so?
I think it has too much like. Especially if you're a female, like you're never gonna see like Pokimane play this game or like Amaranth or like none of the like.
No, but I would put it past watching XQC play this.
Yeah, like I actually thought like that was my first thought. Like XQC might play this game.
There's only two people I want to see play this game: the Buttress and Mystery LSG.
There you go.
Those are the two.
I would love to see his playthrough of this game.
Yes. Agreed.
Dude, we need to get Mystery on for an episode.
Yes, we
talk about Rocket League for 2 hours.
I agree.
I'm in.
The next. You want to keep going on this?
No, that's really all I had to say about that. It seems ridiculous. Like, I don't know, the concept of the game is just like, whoa. But it's a thing. It's happening. So
I'll be streaming that one.
I actually
the next one
though
has a lot of stuff, kind of just Xbox related that's happened in the past like few days.
But forget about that. Did you change that link?
I did not.
No, so I just changed the link. Go to the link that it was a Business Insider link that somehow got there, and that was not the one that I was referencing. I changed it. It should be a Washington Post link, so let me know if you get to Washington Post.
Hey, it's the Post, eh?
Yeah.
This article is by Gene Park and from the Washington Post, and it's very long, and there's a lot to dissect here. But the headline is Phil Spencer on the console war mentality and Xbox's shift away from the box. And what I got from reading this was the main takeaway was a quote from Phil Spencer, and I have to paraphrase because I can't find exactly where it is. Oh, wait. No. It's right in the beginning. Phil Spencer says, quote, "This idea that in order for the industry to grow, some companies must succeed and others must fail, it doesn't help gaming reach the potential it should. We should be driven to help gaming as an industry grow, for creators to take the biggest risks they can. When a great game comes out, we should applaud it, whether it's on PC or PlayStation or on a Switch." Spencer said that he doesn't imagine movie executives hope for another studio's project to fail. He goes on to say we should focus on this industry that we love and see it continue to grow, and we should protect it from the issues that it does have. And that goes into some of the issues, But I really like his wording there. I like the message that he's sending. I like that, number one, it makes Xbox look like, they're not considering these other companies really like as a threat, but more of just comrades.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. See, I don't know. I feel like I almost take like another approach to this, where it's like,
okay,
like my first, like I don't know. I feel like for the big concept, I agree. Like the console rules, like Xbox is better than PlayStation. PlayStation is better than Xbox. Like that whole thing is dumb. I agree with that. Like, movement of like it shouldn't be like I just want to play a good game, right? Like I don't care what it's on. Like, hopefully I can spend the least amount of money to play good games, right? Like, that's my goal. But also this comes off to me as very much like this is the, like, loser talking, right? Like,
yeah.
Which I know, like, sounds kind of harsh, but it's like, it's easy to say when you're dead like, the Nintendo Switch came out 4 years after your most recent console launched, and it's already outsold it tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy for you to be like, well, I don't think there's really a competitive nature. We shouldn't really be. It's like, well, yeah, of course you're going to say that. You're getting demolished by everything. Like, it's not even like I feel like it's never been this distant. As far as like PlayStation, over 100 million. Xbox won't even release their numbers because they're bad.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not even close. So I feel like it's easy for them to throw out these like very like PR statements of like, I don't think consoles are, but it's like very clear that they are still thinking that way. That's what I take from this. It's like you wouldn't be going out there telling like Xbox Series X, the most powerful console, that there's the best place to play game, right? Like you wouldn't be doing that if you didn't think there was a legitimate like you should buy ours over theirs mentality. So like that's kind of what I get from this, but I do agree with the like very generic like base of the like conversation of like it is dumb to have this like, oh, PlayStation is better than Xbox. Like, I just, like I said, like I have a lot of fun playing Sea of Thieves. I have a lot of fun playing Last of Us. I have a lot of fun playing God of War, right? Like, and I have a lot of fun playing Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
But like, and then there's like Hypnospace Outlaw that's only on PC.
Yeah.
Right, like it's a
okay, but to play devil's advocate though, Microsoft came out and said that they weren't really pushing for everyone to run out and buy the new console, that they were like building this ecosystem.
Yeah.
So, well, you could say that maybe they didn't expect to like look outside of Microsoft and outside the Xbox and be like, okay, an ecosystem of gamers where we can all play games. But like, to some extent, they were saying like, hey, we want people to play games even if you don't go out and buy this, new console. We still want you here playing the games. Now it just seems like, yeah, maybe they thought they were on top of the world, and then Sony dropped their fucking teaser and whatnot and everything, and now everyone's like, oh my god, have you seen the PlayStation? And they're like, oh, well...
I'll pull another... Oh, go.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say, I'll pull another excerpt to backbone what you just said. An excerpt from this Washington Post article where it says PlayStation and Xbox are not in a console war. They're racing in different directions. I think that has more validity than Phil Spencer's previous statement, because now, considering what Pop just said, I think if you take a look, if you take the hardware numbers out of the equation, right? And then Phil Spencer still, because he kind of does mention studios, right? Studios aren't going to root for, and I think, if you look at Neil Druckmann from Naughty Dog and you look at his tweets, you'll see that he even today, granted they're both Sony companies, but he's like, oh, congratulations to Sucker Punch for releasing Ghost of Tsushima, like.
Yeah.
But I feel like he does that even when it's a game like when Breath of the Wild came out. He's like, oh, I'm fucking loving Breath of the Wild. Like, it's one. So I think that among industry people, that is how they feel. Like, if you asked Phil Spencer, like, last place or not, here's your options. People are going to only play games on PlayStation and Nintendo consoles, or they're not going to play games at all. Yep. It's not like he would say like, okay, well, I don't want them to play on PlayStation and Nintendo so badly that I would just wish that they don't, like, gaming just stops, right? Because I think at that point the true passionate people behind the Xbox are going to say, okay, well, we're going to go work somewhere else where we can continue to, like, flesh out our dreams, you know what I mean? And the big wigs at Microsoft are going to be like, okay, well, that was good while it lasted, and now we can't afford to do it anymore, even though they can, because they have shit tons of money. So it's like,
but then, like,
I guess Phil Spencer can afford to get on there and be like, yeah, no, there's no bad blood, we're good. Yeah.
So to, like, respond to both of you though, like, with what Mike said about, like, the whole, like, ecosystem thing and, like, them not really pushing the new console and stuff, it's like there was another article that came out. I don't know if it's from the same interview or not, but I saw it during the course of the week where it was like Phil Spencer, like, doubled down on there's going to be no Xbox Series X exclusives for at least another 2 years. Okay. So, like, everything that comes out in the next 2 years will be playable on an Xbox One, right? And it's like, that seems great and all when you're talking about, like, an ecosystem thing, right? Where it's like, oh, like, you don't have to buy the new Xbox to play the new game, right? Where it's like Sony's taking the complete opposite approach.
Yeah.
But I also think that that's only because they don't have any new games to, like basically Microsoft's thing, right, is that, like, all of their first-party studios are just making sequels to it. It's like, oh, like, we have the team that makes the Forza games, we have the team that makes the Halo games, we have the team that makes the Gears games, right? And we're on Forza 7 or 8, whatever, Gears 5 or 6, Halo 6, right? Like, they're so far in it that they don't, and those studios are so established with that one thing that they don't have, like, the ability, they can't do what a Sucker Punch is doing, right? Where it's like, hey, we've made 3 Infamouses, before that we made Sly Cooper, very known PlayStation branded things, but now we're going to make this
they even made some other crazy shit too.
Yeah, but, like, but now we're going to make this completely new IP that nobody knows about. Right. Same thing with Guerrilla, right? Like, we're known for making Killzone, right? But now we're going to make Horizon, something completely new that nobody, right? Like, they don't have those, so their only option was to go out and buy new studios. Yeah. But the problem with that is, like, buying new studios means that you have to go off their timetable, and, like, all of the studios that they bought don't have games that are going to come out in the next 2 years. It's like Obsidian. They bought Obsidian. Obsidian's a great studio, but they just had Outer Wilds or Outer Worlds, whatever one they made. I can't remember the name of it.
The Outer Worlds.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, Outer Worlds, yeah.
Yeah, like, it just came out last year. They're not going to have another game ready in 2 years. That's like, here's a reason why to buy the new Xbox, right? Like, it's the same thing with the studio that made Senua. I forgot the name of that studio, but that was a really good game. But also, they're an extremely small studio that, like, that it takes them a while to make games, and they also just put out a multiplayer game this year that nobody's talking about because it's terrible, right? And so it's like, that Senua 2 is going to take a few years to make, right? So it's like, I think it's very easy for them to be like, well, because of the ecosystem, no Xbox One exclusives for 2, but it's like, it's because they don't have anything, right? Like, really, right now, as it's, like, known, the only reason you would buy a new Xbox Series X is to play the new Halo that you can also play on PC, which is actually the best way to play.
Right, okay.
Right? Like, because your PC is going to be more powerful than the new Xbox, and you don't have to spend the money. So it's like, I can play the new Halo on my PC for $5.99 a month because I have Games Pass, than buying a $400, $500, $600 console and playing it that way. So I just feel like it's super convenient and easy for them to take this approach of like, oh, it's the ecosystem, it's this, it's that, because they don't really have anything to give.
Right.
Like,
well, so Phil Spencer goes on to talk about the ecosystem, right, in this article, but I'll set it up with a question to you guys, and that's, why is the Nintendo Switch so successful? Like, what are the main reasons that the Nintendo Switch...
First party studios, what else? That's really it. No. If it didn't have those, it wouldn't be successful. If the Switch launched without Breath of the Wild, it wouldn't be successful. Right? Like, if the Switch launched and it just had 1-2 Switch...
Okay, but I'm saying in addition, I'm talking about a very specific feature of the Switch. It's a question I'm looking for a right answer to. Like, what the Switch...
Oh, you mean the portability?
That's right, the portability.
The ease of access.
Right. Yeah, right. And Microsoft is working on that xCloud thing they keep talking about. So, Phil Spencer goes on in this article to say, bringing up an analogy like Instagram is such a great example, because he references how when you created your Instagram on your iPhone... 4 back in whenever the hell that was, and then you log into Instagram on your brand new iPhone that came out in 2020, it's the same Instagram account, right? Yep. And it works on the newest hardware just like that, because that's Apple making sure that the shit works on their newest hardware.
Yep.
So that's kind of like where he's saying, like, okay, it's not just a box anymore. Like, we're going in a different path. And I like what he's talking about here, because he says, imagine if you were on your PC on Spotify and you made a playlist on your PC, and then later you're driving in your car and you go on Spotify on your phone, and that playlist that you made, which is the same account on your PC and your phone, but that playlist wasn't there. That would be almost like, that would be unacceptable, because then what the fuck do you pay for Spotify for if it doesn't at least do that?
Right.
So I think, if xCloud works the way that they're touting it to, like, if it works better than Stadia, right? If it works just like they're saying, you take your Xbox controller and whatever device you have, as long as it can connect to the local network, right? If your controller and your device are on the same network, it doesn't matter what video card and blah blah blah, it's just going to work using our hardware and be brought. That gives you the portability that the Switch has. So there's that. But what does Sony have that kind of, Sony and Nintendo, you could go back and forth. It's all kind of subjective on who's got the better first party titles. But Sony has some killer first-party franchises. Like, Nintendo's got the same thing, and it comes down to like, what do you like more? So Xbox needs the first-party titles, and I think they need not a gimmick. They need it to really be strong. They need it to work better, and they need PlayStation's version of whatever they're gonna do, because they're not really. PlayStation's not talking about. They're talking about it, but they're not really setting out like there's no like xCloud is the thing that's it's going to be a part of Games Pass Ultimate, and when you have it, you should be able to take your phone or your iPad or your PC or your laptop or anything and play those games wherever you are with no latency. Like this is what they're saying. If that works, then they've got something other than a very powerful box. But they need, like, what does it matter if there's not shit to play on it, like you were saying? So they need these first-party studios that they've acquired. They need them to like, who knows what they're working on? I mean, we got a lot of like alien porn, but
it's like it's a thing where it's like, you know what you're getting with PlayStation. Like, you know what you're getting with the PlayStation 5. You're getting a new Spider-Man game, a
Gran
new
Turismo, Ratchet and Clank.
You're getting a new Ratchet and Clank, a new Forza game, or
Gran Turismo.
You're getting a God of War sequel.
You're getting GTA 5.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank God.
There's an expectation there where it's like, okay, like everything you said, right? Like, makes sense. It's like, I can play my Xbox on my phone if I want to. But what am I going to play?
Gears of War.
Halo 2.
But I can play Gears of War now, right? Like,
nope.
There's nothing. There's like absolutely, like, they have their game lineup is like,
you can't play it on the shitter at work.
It's literally nothing. Like, it's like, I guess it's cool that I can. But, like, also, from the same standpoint, it's like, so what would you rather do, Mark? Would you rather take your Xbox controller and hook it up to your phone and play Gears of War for 30 minutes at work? Or would you rather take your Switch and play 30 minutes of whatever first-party title that they're pumping out on the Nintendo?
I think the answer is the same, but are you asking the collective view, or are you asking Mark? Because Mark would want to bring the Switch.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I feel like that's the going to be the collective answer. Is
yeah,
like,
right. But if you're a hardcore Xbox guy that never owned a Switch or a PlayStation, you'd be excited for this thing anyway.
If you're a hardcore Xbox person, then you've already played Gears of War. You've already played Halo.
If you're a hardcore Xbox
you're just
person,
gonna play it on your phone to play it on your phone. Like, that seems like dumb.
The hardcore Xbox fans are not going to determine the fate of Microsoft's future. I feel like they have to come out with something that brings people over. And
there's hardcore Xbox fans are like the biggest Halo fans that I know aren't excited about the new Halo because the last two were terrible.
I mean, I think Phil Spencer is making a good effort in doing kind of damage control, because there is a toxic community involved in gamers, right? And he's right that the console wars are stupid. And so here's what I really think it comes down to, because look who you're talking to. I'm trying to say it in a way where I'm not talking shit about Xbox. I don't want to sit here and talk shit about Xbox. I don't care enough to be like, I think this is better. So I'm a PlayStation fan. I like their first party games, and if that's where I'm gonna play them, even if they come out on a PC, I don't know. There's something about the whole PlayStation experience of getting the console, plugging it in, setting it up, putting in that game that can only be played on that console, and then playing it. Like the Nintendo, it's similar. I know I'm only going to play Mario, but it's all right, I need a good reason to get the Nintendo. And what it was at that point in my life, I was just into gaming and game collecting, and I wanted to see what the deal was. And then, Breath of the Wild I had already played, so that wasn't it for me. It was kind of like Mario Odyssey was kind of the thing where I had Splatoon 2 when I got it, but I'm getting sidetracked. I'm not gonna
promise of Nintendo games, right? It's like that. That's what I'm saying. Is buying the Switch that you're going to get, even if buying it at launch, right? Like, and you just have Breath of the Wild. It's like, hey, I know I'm going to get a new Mario. I know I'm going to get a new Splatoon. I know I'm going to get a new Smash Bros. I know I'm going to get a new Mario Kart. I know I'm going to get a new Metroid. I know I'm going to get a new Animal Crossing.
Wait a minute. What the fuck are they going to put in a new Mario Kart?
Well, yeah.
That's just me being you.
So then they don't even do that. They just go, hey, here's the old one with all the DLC, and people bought it up, right?
Yeah.
I feel like Xbox doesn't even have, like, they have...
But hold on.
It's not re-releasing the game.
They don't have anything to sell me on. It's if
Pop,
you're an Xbox fan, what are you looking forward to?
This is kind of getting tangential, but I want to ask this question. Like, how come, if that's the case with the Nintendo console, then how come the Wii U wasn't a fucking crazy success?
Because you also have to have, right, like...
right marketing?
You have to have the right marketing, but also, like, the Wii commercially successful, like... But it wasn't. It was a backstep as far as games, right? Like when you look at the Wii, right? Like
we didn't have F-Zero, so it failed for the Wii U.
Exactly, but
all the F-Zero fans were pissed. They were like, "Nope, not again."
Yeah.
When people think of the Wii, I feel like if you were to name one game from the Wii off the top of your head, what would it be? Wii Sports.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Like I feel like that's
say Brawl.
99% of people's answer would be the game that came free with the console, not anything else, right?
That's
And there's a reason why. It's because, right, like,
but by that same logic,
the new Zelda game on the Wii wasn't as good as the new Zelda game on the GameCube, or the new Zelda game on the Nintendo 64, or even the new Zelda game on the Nintendo Switch, right? Like, the new Mario game...
you skipped one, the Wii U.
Because there was technically... Okay, the new Zelda game on
there hasn't been a new Zelda game on Switch yet.
Zelda game on the Wii, the Switch, right? But like what I'm saying is like there was no like I think it's very known that the games that came out on the Wii U were good. That's why they all got re-releases on the Switch. The hardware itself was ass.
But
I think it also kind of sell to the previous where it's like the Wii wasn't also great hardware-wise. It was behind all the consoles of the current generation.
I agree, but that brings...
It wasn't comparable to the Xbox 360 or the PS3, right? And then you took an even, like, worse step with the Wii U, so that's why it didn't succeed. It had nothing
but staying consistent with that logic, right? You're saying that the people came to the Switch in droves because the marketing was right, the games were there, the first party titles that they wanted to play, and it's just like a cool piece of hardware that...
Well, the hope that the first party titles are there, right? Like, when you buy Switch, you're assuming that you're going to get a new Animal Crossing.
Right, so anybody who bought a Wii U was assuming that they were going to get, good...
and they did. Like, the people that bought got good Mario Kart game.
Right, but what I'm saying is that having the first-party titles now, to stay consistent with what we were talking about before, is not going to just be the one thing that's going to make Microsoft succeed or fail. It's going to be a combination of all things, and their marketing is strong right now. It's not as strong as PlayStation. I don't think it's as strong as PlayStation, but it's strong marketing, and their design is great, and their hardware is phenomenal. So, like, all the pieces are in place. They just need those first-party studios to give that missing link. They need new, engaging software, and they need xCloud to work. I think that's going to really determine...
Opposite, right? It's like PlayStation comes out at the beginning of their conference, and what do they say? We're not going to talk much. We're going to let the games do the talking for us.
Yeah.
Xbox is the exact opposite of that, where they have to try and sell you on, look at this service, look at this thing, we're saying this good thing, most powerful console, but what am I going to play? Oh, here's a trailer for Dirt Rally 2. That's the cool thing we have to show you. Because we don't have anything, right? Like, they don't have... Their first-party studios are so terrible.
Well, this is exactly what I just said. They have everything else in place. They need the first-party, like the new acquisitions.
Right, like think about the PlayStation, think about the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3.
If you're asking me who I think is gonna take it, I think PlayStation's gonna like dominate this generation too. That's my opinion. I'm just saying Xbox is not dead in the water yet. That's what I'm saying.
They definitely need games, and they got guys to do the games, but they need the time. Like you said, in the next 2 years, nobody's gonna be ready to pop out another game for this new console. They got to work on this stuff.
Right, and Phil Spencer's getting out.
He's out there right now pitching that we need to be an ecosystem. We all need to be pro games regardless of where they are.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean...
that's the damage control that I'm saying he needs to do, because this is what's happening that's outside of the control of developers or marketing. Like, these people are out there saying, like, fuck Xbox or fuck PlayStation, and, like, that's just not a good look for anybody, right? So,
yeah, right.
You kind of have no choice. He's pinned up in a corner where he has to be like...
Yeah, he has no choice. He has to say... The Xbox has to say and do the right thing because they don't have anything else.
Because if they sold 110 million units of their previous console, then they could come out front and be like, look, check it out. We're just going to keep this ball rolling like what Sony's doing.
So like, I guess I have just one question to, like, cap this conversation, right?
Sure.
Is like, with what Mike just said about, like, they need time, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, okay, let's just assume that the Xbox Series X and the PlayStation 5 launch at the same time this year, right? Like the end of 2020, right? In 2 years, fast forward to 2022, right? Mm-hmm. You haven't bought a new console, right? Like you haven't bought either one. Mm-hmm. So you have your option now of buying the PlayStation 5 that has 2 years worth of games that you haven't played yet because you haven't bought a PlayStation 5. So you haven't played the new Ratchet, you haven't played the new Horizon, you haven't played the new Spider-Man.
Do we have dates on any of those though?
Yeah, right. Like the new Spider-Man is coming out holiday this year. Okay. Horizon 2021, Ratchet 2021, right? Like even if you delayed them an entire year, you're still within that window, right? Like. Okay. So you have a catalog of 2 years worth of exclusive games that you haven't played, and you can spend your $500 buying the new console and getting new games that you haven't played yet, or you can spend $500 on a console that is new, but you've played all the games that have come out in the last 2 years, and you're only buying it for the maybe one new game that when you buy it hasn't come out on the previous version. Like, I feel like the obvious choice value-wise, regardless of what prices, is PlayStation, right? Like, it doesn't make any sense to...
Well, we got to know a couple things. We got to know what these things are going to cost, and we got to know, like...
Even if the Xbox was $100 less, right? Like, even if you said Xbox is $400, PlayStation is $500.
He's getting Xbox pretty fired up, huh?
Xbox you get 0 new games with. PlayStation 5, you spend $100 more, but you get 2 years worth of new games you've never played before. And also on top of that, right? PlayStation, those 2 years worth of games, that's the only place you can play them at, right? Mm-hmm. Xbox, you can pay $5.99 and play every single game that's ever come out exclusive for the Xbox on your PC that's going to play better than what the new console plays.
But that's what they're saying. Like, they're not saying that
they're considering
most people. I feel like most people now, what they're really doing is saying, like, hey, PlayStation players, all it costs you is $6 a month, and you can play Xbox games too. Here's the real. Let me ask you this question: what if the Xbox Series X comes out, and in a shocking reveal, you can run Windows 10 on it, and thereby play Horizon Zero Dawn and what's it called, Death Stranding, day one on your Xbox?
But
because they're
PC,
playable.
So why would I buy the Xbox?
Why would you? You already have a PC. Not every kid who's 15 has a gaming PC, like chilling in their bedroom.
But that's what I'm saying. But then not every kid also, like, that's my point. Is right. Like, if you're going to use that example, right? It's like for somebody like me, I already have a PC, so it doesn't make any sense for me to buy an Xbox ever, as long as they continue the Games Pass thing, right?
Right.
So if I'm a new person who doesn't have the option, right, of having a PC and I just have to go off console, I feel like the clear value is I'm going to get the Call of Duty, I'm going to get the Madden, I'm going to get the 2K off of either console regardless, so why not pick the one that has 2 years worth of new games?
Which is why it makes sense for Xbox not to stress selling their box and more about selling their ecosystem. That's why they're going to get their money that way.
Okay, so but then why even release a new box, right? Like then
because some people will buy it.
Sell a USB drive that costs $20 that I can plug into my TV and have the Games Pass on.
I think they're gonna have that too,
right? Like, yeah, but then that destroys the ecosystem of buying a new console. Why would I pay $500 for this thing that when I can get the same exact thing for $20?
Because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly what. It's just like airline companies, right? Take this random 747 or 730, whatever the fucking plane that they fly the most, right? And you've got regular economy class seats. One ticket in one seat might sell for $500, right? And then that's like 2 months before the trip. That same exact seat 2 weeks before the trip might cost $1,000, right? And I'm just using these numbers for easy figuring. And the reason that they do that, why it's not any better, it's not first class, it's not near a window, it's not anything better. It's just the airline company knows that some people can only afford $500 and other people can afford more and don't care and just want the seat. So they sell the same seats at different prices to maximize. They don't want empty planes flying around because that costs them too much money. So it makes more sense for them to sell some seats at a lower cost. So Microsoft is going to say, like, look, we're already in the hardware business in a way. We already have all this shit, like, basically halfway there. We know that we can make some money and get some people involved in our ecosystem by getting them just like they want they want the most power. Like, which you go to the store, what's the most powerful console that you have? Oh, it's this one. Okay, that's the one I'm buying. Like, there's some people they want that money, they want that demographic.
I mean, if you went to the store right now and were like, hey, I want to buy a TV, and they were like, okay, well, PlayStation just put out this TV this year, or you could get the Xbox TV that's still playing the current Xbox games, but it came out 2 or 3 or whatever years ago. You wouldn't want that. Same price. But if you drop a console at the same time as competition, even if people don't go out seeking your console, if you go to the store and say, what's the newest one, and they both came out at the same time, you have a fair shot. So if you sell any of these things now to anybody,
I guess it's
but we're talking about
but
a
then
lot
you
of
get the Chromecast version thing in like a year or two once they figure out the cloud, and now you get the whole world at fucking 20 or 30 or 40 bucks.
Oh, guys, we forgot to talk about Stadia in this conversation.
What?
They just bought a bunch of studios.
Stadia, what?
Yeah, the true competitor.
I think that's like the perfect example of how like unready this like system is, right? Like you can't rely on like streaming and all that.
Yeah, I know it sounds like we're arguing, but I totally agree with you that like it doesn't really make much sense for them to assume that they're going to like take away this console generation that's coming up. But I think they're gonna make a mark, and I don't think the Xbox is going away just yet. But I think they need to really
they did this weird thing
hone in on this.
This was the other thing that I wanted to bring up during this is like they announced this week that they're stopping production on the Xbox One X and the Xbox One digital.
That's all digital.
So they're only going forward now. They're only going to be making the Xbox One S, which is the cheaper one. It's like $300 max.
Is it bad that makes me want to buy a One X?
Yeah, right. Like, but my thing is, right, like I feel like that even goes even further into what I'm saying is like, even if you wanted to get into that ecosystem, right, like that new Xbox launches this year, and it's like I have the option of buying the Xbox Series X for $500, or the Xbox One S for $250, and they both play the exact same games guaranteed for the next 2 years, why wouldn't I pick the cheaper one? Like, it doesn't make any sense for me to buy the more expensive one, knowing that like going forward for at least the next 2 years, there's going to be no benefit of buying the new thing.
Well,
right? Like,
here's
your example, Mike, of TVs, right? Like, with your example of TVs, that would be like going into the store and being like, "Hey, I want to buy the newest TV," and the person selling TV is going, "Okay, well, there's 2 new models that just came out this year. This one plays things that this one doesn't.
Yep.
But they're the same price. Which one do you want?"
Right.
Like, well, why couldn't I pick the one that doesn't play the new things? Like,
here's your major problem, though, especially in the field that we love to discuss so much, is that we're talking about people who know what they're talking about. We're talking about the competent individual that knows games, listens about games, reads about games, knows what they want, right?
Yeah.
Well, my buddy Herb worked for GameStop for like a year, and he told me that about 90% of the people that come in there can't tell you their ass from their elbow. Just don't know what they're doing there. I'm here for a game for my kid. He pees the bed. He's 32. What does he want to play? Like, I don't know. What does he want to play? They don't know. You don't know. You just try and sell them a thing and send them out the door.
Yeah, a lot of this demographic
is a lot of people that are going to walk in there blind and be like, "Oh, you got the new game box this year? Yeah, give me one of those." And like, boom, there you go. But if they put nothing out, then they're just shooting themselves in the foot.
No, I agree. I agree with everything you're saying, but I also feel like then you can just take into consideration like that same. Like, I feel like we could talk about this for hours, right? But that same narrative, right? You could just apply. It's like, well, why then are more people buying the PlayStation 4 and Xbox, or the PlayStation 4 and Switch than the Xbox One if they don't know? Right? It's
because I think that people are educated. I do believe that we deal with an intelligent group of people in the gaming industry. I really do believe that we're a bunch of fart-smelling dudes. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
like, there's a reason why nobody.
Granny that walks in there, you know, if you can get 30,000 grannies all over the country, like at $500 a piece, like, Microsoft's not going to be upset.
Yeah.
No,
but again, if you put out nothing and they go to the store and say, "Give me the new one,"
and all there is PlayStation.
Best case scenario, but it's like with the Xbox One, the Xbox One, it's like that scenario didn't play out, right? Like, it's like,
you know,
they might have had 30,000 grandmas go in and buy that, where the PlayStation had 110,000 grandmas going, right? Like, it's like not even comparable.
Yeah, you know,
it's such a failure compared to the other two.
It's starting to make me question Phil Spencer's tactics, coming out saying that we need to like get rid of this notion of console wars, because that's like his biggest demographic is people who are like, "Nah, man, Xbox is better. I only play Call of Duty on Xbox." Like, those are the meatheads that he needs to be encouraging them. Like, get out there and win this console war.
You don't have to win those people over, right? Like,
kill the PlayStation
owners. Going to buy it anyway, right? Like, it's like the other group of people that you're trying to sway.
Yeah, like, you're trying to get PlayStation players to come over to your side.
They had the original Xbox, then they had the Xbox 360, and they're just going to continue to buy Xbox. There's the people that have PlayStations that are going to continue to buy PlayStation.
Give me offset thumbsticks or give me death.
You can even, you know, there's people that we know that only play Nintendo consoles, right? Like, there's those people for sure, and I feel like you're fighting for the other people that are kind of like, "Oh, I don't know what I want," and it's like PlayStation's like, "Well, look, here's endless amount of good quality games that we just keep pumping out. This is why you should buy our console." And Xbox is like, "Well, the ecosystem, I don't know."
No.
So, like, no new games for 2 years.
You do have to give it to Sony, and you do have to give it to history. Like, they are pumping out good games.
Well, even not even just Sony, right? Nintendo too. Like I feel like Nintendo doesn't get the credit it deserves.
Of course,
with first party, like all of Nintendo's first party games sell way more than Xbox and PlayStation first party games. Like Nintendo is probably the forefront of first party games, right? But
facts.
Yeah.
We're well over 2 hours, boys. You wanna call it a night?
Nailed it.
Pop said, I gotta be out by like 12. It's 1.
It's around.
It's not 1 yet. It's technically still 12 something.
Yeah, that's true. You guys got anything you want to plug?
I might be streaming Ghost of Tsushima on my Twitch channel. Pop that baby maker. Twitch.tv/Pop that baby maker. I don't know yet for sure.
I'll check that out if you do it.
Yeah.
Mike, Warp in Time video?
Yeah, there was I think I forget if I mentioned it last time.
You did.
Yeah, there was just a little Warp in Time video.
That was fun.
I am actually actively working on the next one right now because I actually need this luxurious beard for my next video.
Oh, okay. I get it.
It's getting real freaking warm out, so it's almost time to get rid of this thing, man.
Okay.
This was No Shave November that just got real lazy.
Yeah, now it's quarantine.
The next video is what I think it's gonna be.
Yeah, I think it is what you think it's gonna be.
Oh man.
Of course, you could catch me streaming occasionally at twitch.tv/markmoney. Oh yeah, Warp in Time on YouTube. That's where you're going.
Yeah, on YouTube. Search a Warp in Time.
Go subscribe, like, comment, share.
All that shit. But don't hit the bell. There's no need.
I'm just going to throw this out there. Next podcast, I want us to give because we've done this with the PlayStation, and I want to do it tonight, but we ran out of time. I want to give us what our guesses are going to be, for sure price point for the new Xbox.
Oh, okay. I mean, I could tell you my guess right now.
But I want it for both because we know, with this interview, right? They confirmed that there's a second one. Right. Or sorry, not with this one. With the one that that I did link that they canceled the Xbox One X and the Xbox Digital. They confirmed that there's a second Xbox console, a new one.
We will for sure do that when we come back for season 2. I think we're gonna do 25 episodes and then call it like a new run. Yeah, so it'll be part. I don't know, maybe the.
What did the Avengers go by? What does the Marvel thing go by? Or this is phase 2.
Oh,
phase 2.
Yeah, I just know that Anchor, when you upload episodes to Anchor, then you can pick like a season, and obviously it's just been season 1. Well, we'll see what happens.
Season 1, do we call it a bonus for season 1 though? If we do Cast of Us 2.
Ooh.
No, it depends when we do it.
Or Cast of Us 2 is the opener for season 2.
Ooh.
Oh.
That's a strong open.
If you're interested in what we've been talking about tonight and you made it this far, we're very grateful that you stuck around and listened. If you want more of this content, you can find us on YouTube. It's just search for Don't Hate the Podcast. It's actually under the YouTube channel is now called The Play Archive because it's this new thing that I'm working on. And we're going to try and we're going to make our own sort of ecosystem. But you can check us out there. Just search for Don't Hate the Podcast on YouTube. We're on anchor.fm/Don't Hate the Podcast. We're on Spotify and Google Podcasts and all those other little not so well known ones. So wherever you like to listen to your podcast, check us out at Don't Hate the Podcast. We're on Twitter at Don't Hate the Pod. We're on Instagram and Facebook at Don't Hate the Podcast. And I think that about wraps it up for episode 25 of our humble little gaming show. If you guys don't have anything else, we could end it. No. So, as always, for Pop and Mike, I'm Mark. Don't hate the podcast. Hate all the other podcasts.
Yes. Yeah, we're spoiling shit.
Fuck them. Peace.